As one of the central relationships at the heart of the Game of Thrones prequel, we've followed the fiery connection between Rhaenyra and her uncle Daemon since the very first episode, where it became clear that they had always been close since childhood. So on top of them being blood relatives, there's definitely the fact that Daemon took care of her until she got her health back. Let's not forget the accused staging of the necklace around Rhaenyra's neck by her uncle in episode 1, nor their sexual encounter in episode 4 that Daemon aborted before telling his brother King Viserys that he expected to marry his niece. In fact, actress Emma D'Arcy, who plays the adult Rhaenyra, described this as essentially a grooming scenario to The Independent, explaining, "The idea that a teenage girl is in any way able to consent to the sexual interaction is a mess. There is no way that power can be equally distributed in that relationship." Westeros has its own norms and customs, as do the Targaryens. Incest is not uncommon for those of the blood of old Valyria, and age gaps and grooming are tragically common in the Seven Kingdoms. The latter especially mirroring the medieval norms of Western Europe that inspired the world created by author George R.R. Martin. Following their shocking confrontation in House of the Dragon Season 1 finale, Daemon and Rhaenyra's romance will continue to worsen in the future. And in today's video, we're going to tell you everything regarding this topic. But before that, if you're new to this channel, please hit the subscribe button for more entertaining videos and press the bell icon to get the latest update videos every time we drop something new. However, the modern viewer can take a step back and see the dark reality of the relationship between Daemon and Rhaenyra, regardless of the on-screen chemistry between actors Smith and D'Arcy, which was portrayed in quite a tender fashion in the consummation and marriage of the characters in the 7th episode. Now the series has brought the relationship of the characters crashing down to reality, just in case viewers got too wrapped up in the romance. The finale episode saw Rhaenyra show the restraint of her father Viserys in not wishing to start a war with the Hightowers and their chosen claimant of the Iron Throne, her half-brother King Aegon II Targaryen, Tom Glenn Carney. However, the warrior that is the daredevil Daemon Targaryen is not so keen to sit idly by as their enemies usurp the throne. Yet, it is not until Rhaenyra begins to speak of the prophecies of Aegon the Conqueror, the Song of Fire and Ice, and the Prince that was promised, that Daemon strikes out and begins to violently choke her, causing his wife to gasp for breath. As Daemon makes clear that he wishes to show aggression and strength, in case you didn't get that already, he lets Rhaenyra go and she realizes that Viserys never told him about the prophecy before his death, and only she knew before he leaves her. While this is a revelation in and of itself, this sequence also highlights the truth of Daemon and Rhaenyra. He's an abuser and she is his victim, albeit perhaps one who does not see herself as a victim. The scene feels especially dark after the incredibly graphic birth of their stillborn third child earlier in the episode, meaning Rhaenyra is especially vulnerable. Of course, Daemon is grieving too, but his actions towards Rhaenyra are horrific. Explaining this dramatic choice, showrunner Ryan Condal told Variety, "Daemon, while an incredibly charismatic and deeply interesting complex character, I think he's also capable of great darkness. It's simmering just beneath the surface. When he learns in that moment that Viserys never believed in him enough as his actual heir to the throne to pass this thing on that he clearly just easily passed on to Rhaenyra, it breaks him. He loved his brother so deeply and trusted him, even through all the problems that they had, and Viserys never shared it with him. He kept Daemon in the dark, and it breaks Daemon. Instead of reacting with grief or sadness that you see out of him later, he reacts with rage and he takes it out on Rhaenyra." House of the Dragon Episode 10 not only serves as the finale of the show's first season, but also the beginning of the Dance of the Dragons, the civil war that will grip Westeros for years to come. In the tragic war to come, family will turn against family, and in the end, the world will have fewer Targaryens and fewer dragons. Season 1 of the series chronicled the events leading up to the war and focused on several of the key players, including Rhaenyra Targaryen, the heir to the Iron Throne, and her uncle and eventual husband, Daemon Targaryen. Since his first introduction, Daemon has always been associated with chaotic energy. Our introduction of him in the first episode had him running around town and cutting off the hands and genitalia of criminals to prepare for the tournament, and then Rhaenyra finds him sitting on the Iron Throne later. We then see him during the tournament violently beating up the competitors. He wages war on the Stepstones, and after the war goes on too long, he rushes headlong into battle to die or emerge victorious. He steals a dragon egg and claims Dragonstone, despite Rhaenyra being named heir to the Iron Throne. He cuts off Vaemon's head in the middle of the throne room for insulting Rhaenyra and her children. Daemon and Rhaenyra's romance gets even rockier in the House of the Dragon Season 1 finale, and the pair continue to drift apart throughout Dance of the Dragons. As the Targaryen uncle and niece began their marriage after a decade of infatuation, intermarriage, and the birth of multiple children, Rhaenyra and Daemon seem to be one of the few House of the Dragon couples united, both by love and politics. However, House of the Dragon Season 1 Episode 10 sees Daemon smother Rhaenyra in her anger and pain, which shows a completely different side of her romance. Although they seem to be the best matched couple in House of the Dragon, Rhaenyra and Daemon's marriage continues to sour in the Targaryen Civil War. If the stories of the narrators of the Book of Fire and Blood by George R.R. Martin are accurate, then Daemon will be cheating on Rhaenyra with two important characters in House of the Dragon. Also, while the two remain married and rule together, Daemon and Rhaenyra will spend much of the war apart, with Fire and Blood suggesting that Rhaenyra doesn't care much for her absence or her pranks. Daemon and Rhaenyra remain the most important couple in House of the Dragon's future, but their romance reflects the increasingly gray nature of the character's morality. The unpredictable Daemon has always been a thrill seeker, and the character quickly becomes bored in what he may perceive as monotony. As such, it shouldn't be too surprising that Daemon walked away from his marriage to find pleasures with women like Mysaria, aka the White Worm. Mysaria was Daemon's first love interest for House of the Dragon Season 1, and now that she leads the most important spy ring in King's Landing, she will be important to Rhaenyra's political strategy and Daemon's Black Party. As Daemon works with Mysaria to get revenge on the Greens and discover their secrets, they'll also fall back into their old ways as lovers. Fire and Blood also suggests that Daemon is having an affair with future House of the Dragon character Nettles, a 17-year-old bastard girl who claims the sheep stealer dragon for blacks. Rhaenyra sends Daemon and Nettles to the Trident together to find Aemon and Vhagar, the pair said to have started an affair in Maidenpool. Mysaria even tells Rhaenyra that Daemon took Nettles as her lover, and the queen angrily replies that he would not take a lowborn child without dragon blood into her bed. While another source debunks his affair and claims that Daemon simply treated Nettles like a child, the dragon rider was likely impressed by her courage, much as he fell in love with Rhaenyra. As Rhaenyra rules on her throne, whether that be on Dragonstone or in King's Landing, Daemon will primarily be flying Caraxes in battle in search of enemies, or to take castles for the Blacks. While Rhaenyra will remain on Dragonstone, Daemon will soon head to Harrenhal in House of the Dragon Season 2, where he will remain for some time in order to keep control of the Riverlands. According to Fire and Blood, Daemon stays at the castle until hearing that Aemon Targaryen and Criston Cole left the capital to march toward Harrenhal, giving himself, Rhaenyra, and the Blacks dragon riders the opportunity to seize King's Landing. It's after Rhaenyra takes the Iron Throne that she sends Daemon and Nettles to the Trident in order to find Aemon and Vhagar, with Daemon spending much of his time at Maidenpool with the young dragon rider. After Rhaenyra orders the death of Nettles due to her affair with Daemon and the treachery of the other dragon seeds, Daemon flees Maidenpool for Harrenhal, where he intends to duel his nephew Aemon Targaryen. Understanding his chances of survival are low, Daemon still battles Aemon as both Targaryens and their dragons perish in the conflict. Aside from their reunion at King's Landing, Daemon and Rhaenyra will hardly be together before his death in House of the Dragon's future. That's it for today. Let us know your views in the comments section below. Click the like button if you enjoyed the video and share with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe.